So I've noticed something really interesting. There must be a particular curriculum in this evolutionary process that we're all going through that you kind of have to tick off. But what triggers it or what activates each part of the curriculum, for want of a better word, in each of us is different. Okay, here's what I mean. At the start of last year, in the first lockdown, I knew with every fibre of my being that it was number one of many. I knew that it was not going to end, right? From first lockdown, I thought, okay, here we go. Here we go. By the time Victoria was in its second one, which I think that was the second one that like went on for like 4 months. I was processing, a lot of people I know, we were processing those feelings of, okay, how are we going to navigate this long term? And there wasn't a lot of support. You would look on Instagram and people were baking fucking banana bread. And you're like, the people baking fucking banana bread and waiting for things to go back to normal. And a lot of people's energy was like, it's okay, this is good, you get to spend time with your family and you get to like focus on your, just, it. I don't need to remind you. And that was hard. That was confronting because it was like, well, these people don't realize what is going on. And so you had that kind of going on at the same time as you had this energy going on of this fear of the thing that was being sold at the time to be frightened of. And I was never frightened of that. I was never frightened. I was never worried about getting sick. I'm to this day not worried about getting sick. But the narrative shifted, time passed, the story got more in depth, the game moved to different levels. And it's like people swapping over, right? Because here's what I'm noticing now. In the interim, I went through a period of time where I was a bit wobbly on what effect can the people who've had that have on my health. What are they pinging off? What are they, what's the purpose of doing that to them? Is it just, for like to impede their own health? Is it a whole narrative to affect everybody? So there was that. There was a wobbly period of time there for me. It wasn't very long because I immediately recognized, okay, look, that's still the same fear. That's still me buying into the fear and conflict and division narrative, and I'm still able to be manipulated through that. So it didn't last very long. But I realized at that time, people that were getting that were like relieved. They were like, oh, okay, beautiful, here it is. And their fear was starting to come down, whereas this fear was starting to creep up on the people that were like, what effect is this going to have on me? Am I going to find a partner that hasn't had the, are my friends all going to die because they've had it? Family members, are they going to be infertile? All of that and it was like the fearful group, the fear came down. The group that hadn't been fearful, the fear came up. But what I'm noticing in this lockdown, as we are now in number 6 in Victoria, is that it does not make me wobble at all, because it's like, well, we knew it was coming. It's like if you know something's coming, when it arrives, by number 6, you're okay with it because you knew it was coming. But now I'm seeing so many people on social media who are like, they obviously didn't know it was coming, even though we kept telling them, even though there is so much information out there about this being an ongoing agenda. It's not going to stop unless you stop it, unless we all stop it, unless you stop playing the game. The game will not stop. But they're really struggling right now, and I don't mean people who are struggling financially. I don't mean that, because that's a whole different video. I'm talking about the emotional elements, the emotional impact of this. I'm talking about people who are paying their bills, have food in the fridge, have a roof over their head. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the emotional impact. And where I was shocked at the lack of support from interstate, from family members at the start of this. I can see that there are many people that possibly now feel that lack of support now from those of us who were so used to doing this. It's like, well, yeah, do you know, it's like the lockdown being called in Victoria is like the coming of spring next month. Well, of course, we knew it was coming, but maybe you didn't know it was coming. And now we're the ones baking banana bread. And that, what I want to say is, I know that's confronting, because we're in a state now, people like me are in a state now where we can navigate this and not lose our power. And so if it looks to you on the outside like that, that means we don't care. I just want you to know we do care. We do care, but we're just in the next phase. We're just adapting, not to lockdown being normal, but to knowing that it doesn't end without us. So we're figuring out ways of life not being impeded by lockdown. We're figuring out ways of moving beyond all of that. We're figuring out ways to conduct, to bring together communities that have no connection to the shit fuckery. So just know we are there, we are with you, we have come before you, we have processed the feelings you are processing now. You can get to the stage where this no longer affects you, not in the sense that you will see that it's normal and you will just become resigned to it, but in the fact that you completely stop adhering and you live your life in your power with external madness going on at the same time, and you continue to make choices and steps to be not affected by that external madness, and you build community and you connect with people who have their eye on the end game. Much love.